Long before the honors, the sold-out tours, and the medals pinned to his lapel, Byron Aloysius St. Elmo Lee was already a lightning rod in Jamaica's cultural wars. Critics accused him of smoothing the rough edges of ska and reggae for uptown audiences, of benefiting from political connections, and of standing too comfortably at the intersection of race and class in a music born in Kingston's poorest neighborhoods. When his band was chosen to represent Jamaica at the New York World's Fair, purists protested that more grassroots musicians, especially the Skatalites, had been sidelined in favor of Lee's polished sound. Later, when he launched Jamaica Carnival in 1990, detractors argued he was importing a Trinidadian tradition into reggae's homeland and turning culture into an elite party. Those debates followed him for decades. Some called him the respectable face of Jamaican music for tourists, others a savvy bridge builder who made local rhythms legible to the world. His close relationship with Edward Seaga fueled whispers of favoritism whenever state platforms went his way. Lee never denied his advantages: mixed heritage, elite schooling, business instinct. But he insisted that without organization, polish, and global strategy, the music he loved would never have traveled as far as it did. He was born on June 27, 1935, in Christiana, Manchester Parish, Jamaica, to a Chinese father and a Chinese Jamaican mother, and raised first in rural quiet before moving to Kingston's Mountain View Gardens as a boy. At a Catholic boarding school in Mandeville, a nun steered his restless energy toward the piano. He excelled at sports as fiercely as he did at music, becoming a standout footballer at St. George's College, where teammates nicknamed the school side the Dragons. That nickname would later become Destiny. In 1950, still a student, he formed the Dragonaires with classmates. By 1956, he chose music over university, committing fully to a professional life on stage. Over the next 5 decades, the band evolved with Jamaica's sound, ska into rocksteady, reggae, calypso, and soca, becoming one of the island's most consistently booked touring acts. International recognition came early. The Dragonaires appeared in Dr. No, the first James Bond film, and were soon dispatched as cultural ambassadors. Wherever they played, Lee leaned into showmanship, tight arrangements, and an accessible polish that helped unfamiliar audiences fall in love with Caribbean rhythms. Behind the scenes, his ambitions were just as big. In 1968, he bought West Indies Records Limited and transformed it into Dynamic Sounds, then the best-equipped studio in the Caribbean. The facility drew local legends and international superstars alike. Bob Marley, the Rolling Stones, Paul Simon, and Eric Clapton among them. Lee also handled Jamaican distribution for Atlantic Records and helped bring artists like Jimmy Cliff to wider audiences. If some purists bristled at his watered-down reputation, few disputed his business acumen or the infrastructure he built for others to use. By the 1980s and 90s, Lee had become both institution and impresario. His soca hits like Tiny Whiny and Buckin' All Time dominated carnival seasons, and his push to establish Jamaica Carnival reshaped the island's party calendar. The same move that angered cultural gatekeepers eventually broadened the country's festive economy and drew visitors from across the diaspora. Recognition piled up, more than 100 awards, capped by Jamaica's Order of Jamaica shortly before his death. In private, he cultivated a large family and a carefully managed public image. Married to Sheila Lee until his passing in 2008, he involved several of his children in the family businesses that orbited Dynamic Sounds and the Dragonaires. His wealth, never publicly tallied, rested on touring, recording, distribution rights, and the ownership of a deep music catalog. The physical heart of that empire was the sprawling Dynamic Sounds complex on Bell Road in Kingston, with studios, pressing facilities, and warehouses that once hummed day and night. He died of pancreatic cancer in 2008, surrounded by family, and Jamaica mourned a man it had never fully agreed on. The legal disputes that followed over his estate only underscored how vast his footprint had become. In the end, Byron Lee's story sits comfortably with contradiction. He was accused of packaging street music for polite rooms, and he undeniably built the rooms that let Jamaican sound echo worldwide. He was criticized for being uptown, and he spent a lifetime ferrying downtown rhythms onto global stages. Love him or question him, the argument around him is part of his legacy.